Gardens' newest roller coaster, Invadr. This family coaster was built by Great Coasters International and is located over in the New France section of the park. The ride is themed to a Viking invasion, thus its name, Invadr. Okay, enough with the introductions, and on with the review. Presentation. Invadr is a roller coaster that will improve as it gets older. Many of the trees have been removed and new trees have been planted. It will take some years before the trees start filling out the area, enhancing the whole foliage in the entire area. The theming is nicely done, nothing overly immersive, just nice touches of detail. Being a wooden roller coaster, all the theming is wooden as well. The giant wooden statue at the entrance is pretty cool looking. I like all the little details that went into the station. The trains are somewhat basic. They do have a neat, horse head statue on the front, but overall, nothing overly fancy. The ride dives through a tunnel and goes under a bridge, which really enhances the first drop. Knowing that this ride's presentation and theming will only improve as time goes on, I'm having Invadr a score of 7 for presentation. Ride intensity. Did I mention that this is a family coaster? Well, it is, thus meaning it's not that intense. It's actually a somewhat short experience. When you feel like the ride is just starting to pick up, you find yourself entering the brake run. Invadr will serve well as a good transition coaster for younger riders, similar to Verbolten. One thing that's worth mentioning is the ride's restraints. They keep getting tighter and tighter, which really hinders the amount of airtime you're going to get. I think a score of 5 sounds about right for intensity. Fun factor. Invadr may be a shorter ride experience, but it's a fun ride. The first drop has some good airtime in the back row, but that's about the stint of excitement you'll get from the back row. Like most GCI coasters, I'd argue that the front row is best. The airtime seems to be more forceful up front, and in Invadr's case, there are many airtime moments that really only experienced in the front row. I think for younger, first-time riders, stick closer to the middle of the train, but if you're looking for a more exciting ride, move up to the front row. Invadr earns a score of 7 for the fun factor. Originality. When comparing Invadr to other GCI coasters, this ride doesn't quite follow their typical layout. For one, it has a straightforward drop, which is extremely rare for GCI. Almost all of their roller coasters do a diving turn for their first drop. Invadr's layout is somewhat basic, focusing on smaller airtime hills and a few turns. It isn't a spaghetti layout, which tends to be their typical go-to layout. But when you look at this as a family coaster, the layout really fits. A score of 7 fits Invadr for originality. Ride smoothness. Being a wooden coaster, and since I rode this roller coaster a little over a year after it opened, it's really smooth. It's about as good as it gets for a wooden coaster. No rattle, which is great. I could actually ride this coaster many times, in the front row, of course. I'm awarding Invadr a score of 10 for smoothness. Okay, the final score comes to 7.2, which is a good score, to average score. Remember, this is a family coaster, so I wouldn't expect this to compete against Mystic Timbers or Thunderhead. It does the job it was built for, which is all you can expect. The ride would be so much better if you could replace the lap bars. It's really disappointing how much airtime they suck out of this ride. The first time I took a spin on Invadr, by the time we reached the final helix, my lap bar was just getting so tight against my lap, and I was basically not moving at all. So, for my personal score, I will award Invadr a score of 6, which is closer to an average score. It's a good family coaster, but not the best family coaster. I think the style of lap bars really hindered this roller coaster from achieving all that it could be. One thing I do look forward is to seeing how this ride is in 10 years. The trees will all be grown in, and I think this wooden coaster will look great. Well, that's it for today's review. What do you think of Invadr? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe, check out my other reviews, which I have a playlist you can check out. Till next time, stay tuned for more great content coming your way from X Scream Thrills.